Hi guys, it's Chloe and welcome back to my channel. But today I am going to be teaching y'all how to do an appeal as it pertains to health insurance. I know it's not the most appealing thing in the world, but it has to be done, in my opinion. So I'm super excited to get into the video, and on that note, we're going to get started. So why appeals out of everything I do on this channel? So the thing is that and why the whole channel was started, growing up, we didn't have these resources, nor did I see anybody like me represented in the media. And also, B, these resources are either A, hard to find, B, aren't available at all, or C, it's through a corporation and the corporation's greedy and eats it behind a paywall. And I want my stuff to be as free and accessible as it can be for everybody, because especially with disabled individuals that are on a fixed income and just the economy we're in general, regardless if you're disabled or not, times are tough. So let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do is check and be sure that what you need is covered through your insurance. And if it's something like physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, you want to be sure per your contract that you haven't exceeded your amount of visits, or they deem that you don't need it anymore and not because you're out of visits. So how you can do that is either via snail mail. This is with private insurances. So either via snail mail, via email, or via your health insurance portal. It's an estimated booklet of coverage, and you can read that and find out if it's covered. If you have employer based insurance, you can contact HR and speak to them. But if they find it online, have them print it off. Or what you can do is find the number on the back of your health insurance card and dial up health insurance and state that you want to speak to customer service and ask for an estimated booklet of coverage or whatever they call it with your insurance. That's what I had when I had Anthem of Georgia. I have Georgia Medicaid right now and they didn't provide that. I just have to look it up online. But with Georgia Medicaid, most everything is covered. So, and they cover a lot more than what typical private insurances cover. It's not covered, or you've exceeded the amount of visits for a specific like therapy or whatever, then this doesn't apply to you. However, if it is covered or you haven't exceeded the amount of visits, then it's time for an appeal. And I'm going to get into how I do the appeal. Pause. So I'm going to be using two templates in the description. So the first one will be a link to the appeal that you're going to see in the next bit. And then the second one is going to be what needs to be included in the appeal. And with the actual letter, you can copy and paste it into a Word or Pages document and make changes to it if needed. Okay, back to the video. So I have an appeal that I actually did use, and I'm going to talk about A, what has to be yeeted in there, B, some things that I yeeted in there, C, why I yeeted it in there, and D, how health insurance is going to react to it when it's yeeted in there. So I have my name and I have my Medicaid care or member ID, which in this case I'm on Georgia Medicaid. And with your member ID is for private insurance, but all your IDs can be found on the front of your card. And I know with Georgia Medicaid, it's just a string of numbers. And with your member ID, it's a string of both letters and numbers, at least when I was on Anthem of Georgia, which I'm not anymore because I lost my insurance. And if you go to file this online via your health insurance portal and or on their website, they may ask for this separately, and therefore you won't have to yeet it on there. But because I'm sending this through email, I had to yeet that on there. And I didn't put it on here because of privacy reasons. So, but you do have to yeet it on there. and I put hi, or you want to put dear sir or madam, whatever, regardless if they treated you like something that rhymes with class. You want to put that on there because they're human too, and you may get a different person that reads over this as well. And they may be a lot nicer, but still, they're humans and you have to treat them like humans. Again, as much as they treated you like something that rhymes with class, again, they're humans. So I put, my name is Chloe Stitch and I'm on Georgia Medicaid. So again, I put my first and last name and the fact that I'm on Georgia Medicaid. And the reason why I did this is because I want them to know my name. And I also want them to know that I'm a customer of theirs. And if you're filing online or via your health insurance portal, then they may ask for this information separately and therefore you do not have to add it. Or if you're filing online or via their portal, then you don't have to put that you're with their insurance, because otherwise you wouldn't have been able to access this portal if you weren't on their insurance. And if you're filing on behalf of somebody else, like you're filing for your grandma who has Alzheimer's or something, then you want to put that in there. And also, if you have like power of attorney or something else that allows you to be able to speak up on behalf of the patient, you want to keep that in there as well. That way, you want to give them as much information as possible so they're not questioning you. And so that you sound like you know what you're doing. And I have neurogenic bowels caused by my spina bifida. So my spina bifida causes a host of other medical conditions because my spinal cord was damaged. However, I'm only going to be eating in what is relevant to the appeal. So, for instance, I wear AFOs because I have weak legs, but that's not relevant to what we're talking about here. So, it's giving, let's say you're talking to your friends and your friends are talking about ballet and you come in and say, I like cats. That's not related to what you're talking about. Same thing here. And with this next section, I, no cap, am dumbing it down because the doctors that health insurance contracts with to approve and deny your stuff, they may either know or not know your case, or your condition. It's a grab bag. And especially if your condition is rare, like spina bifida, or if it's something like Down syndrome or autism, then they may not know it as well. Where if it's something like you got denied a COVID test and you're appealing it, then that would be a lot different because they're more knowledgeable about that than what I had mentioned earlier. So I'm putting it in plain language, and I am doing it as brief as I can, but has enough information to get my point across. So, to put it in plain language, the nerves in my colon are damaged. Therefore, I get constipated because my colon cannot squeeze and contract my muscles to push poop along and ultimately expel it. All right, I'm back. My microphone transmitter was about dead, so I'm charging it and using it at the same time. So, if I get off track, or I've repeated something, that's why. To push poop along and ultimately expel it. Because it cannot do this, I use something called transanal irrigation. And again, I have to dumb this down for them because, they're not going to know. And I know for a fact that a lot of them aren't going to know because this is newish to the United States. So, again, I'm going to dumb it down, but again, I'm brief, but I'm also going to be specific enough to where it gets my point across. To also put this in plain language, transanal irrigation is a life-saving device that helps me empty my bowels. This device has a catheter that is shoved up my rectum. I have a water bag that is connected to the catheter, and I pump water into the rectum. I then remove the catheter and sit on the toilet to expel my waste. So, with this, because with my situation, with my private insurance, I had the device, but now my Medicaid's not covering it, which you'll see in the next paragraphs and stuff that they didn't cover it and why. And for some of y'all may have never gotten this surgery before, and or the device or the medication or whatever. So therefore you don't have to add this part. But for me, I can add it because I know how it works because I've used it before. So you want to talk about the consequences of this. So for me, the consequences of this are deadly, where I can get an enlarged colon if I do not do this. And you want to talk about what's going to happen to you. So you want to say, like, for instance, if you don't get the COVID test, you're not going to find out if you have COVID. And I put in this next area how it not having the device affects me socially and mentally. And I'm a little bit dramatic with it, but you have to be dramatic in order for them to understand. Now, I'm not talking about being dramatic, like not, having this surgery means that I won't be able to slay fire breathing dragons. That's not where we're going here. Not that kind of dramatic. And you'll see what I'm talking about. But not having such device has also affected me socially and mentally, for I always have to be near a restroom just to sit on the toilet for 4+ hours hoping something will come out. So I put 4+ hours, even though it doesn't take that long. Again, you have to be dramatic. It's more like 2, hoping something will come out. Therefore, I cannot obtain a job and hang out with my peers, something that's vital for human development. And it's true. Not being able to do certain things holds you back from being able to do things for human development. So, like, for instance, you may not be able to cook a meal, and therefore you'll get hungry and starve, and that can lead to death. And I know there's like Uber Eats and DoorDash, but they don't need to know that. And then I talk about this device not only empties my colon, but reduces my time on the toilet astronomically by 3 hours. And that's something I learned from, I do a day program for individuals with autism, and we do something called Spark, where we get together with a group of university students and they teach us job skills. But the one thing I learned from my Spark mentor, Libby, and my other ones that I've had is you want to quantify everything. So you want to yeet in numbers. Regardless if you literally type in the number or spell out the number, you want to quantify things. So I put 4+ hours or 3 hours because just numbers to them is appealing, and for some reason, and it's a lot easier to read. And with this next one, so with my situation, this is supposed to be covered by Georgia Medicaid, but they're not covering it. And this may not apply to you, or it may apply. If it doesn't, then you don't have to yeet this in. But once I got Medicaid, everything changed, and I found out this device is only covered for individuals 21 years of age and younger, and I cannot obtain this life-saving device through Georgia Medicaid. Every year, my organization, the Spina Bifida Association, does something called Teal on the Hill, where we get together with our Congress members and advocate for change. The Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services approved this device as of April 1st, 2025. Not an April Fool's joke here. You can view the policy here. And I have yeeted, so here, I have yeeted the link so that they can view it. But if you're doing this by paper, you don't want to yeet the link, and instead you want to print it off. And instead of yeeting in the link, you want to say, attached, I have some documents that help my case. And you can say where the documents are through, whether it's through, like the hospital you're going to get the surgery at, or if it's something that your doctor has yeeted in, or if it's through, like I have, the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services. So by law, this device has to be covered for all ages. And if they're breaking the law, then you want to yeet that in there. And that's exactly what I did. And that's exactly what they're doing, is they're breaking the law, because they have to cover it, because they go through Medicare policy guidelines is what they follow, and they're not following it. And now I'm putting what's going to happen if I don't get the device right away, or just the device in general. And this can also work for surgeries, medications, etc. And I'm reiterating kind of what I mentioned earlier, but adding on to it. And I'm adding this because I'll get into that in a sec. If I do not get this life-saving device ASAP, I will get an enlarged colon, which will land me in the hospital and cost Medicaid more money. So this is vital, because you want to talk about the next step. And again, 9 times out of 10, it's if you're having to appeal, it's either surgery or it's death. And the thing is that health insurance doesn't want to have to deal with a death. And number 2 is what you're getting is going to be more cheaper for them. And health insurance doesn't like to spend any more money than they have to. Also, and regardless if this has been working for you or not, because let's say, for instance, you need to get surgery for something, but you have heart issues and your doctor doesn't want to do the surgery until you get cleared by a cardiologist, but it's taking you a couple of months to get into a cardiologist, and therefore you have to do this option first, but they're not covering it and they denied you, then this is vital to add. Then that's one of the reasons why it would be appropriate to do the appeal and to embellish, even though you're going to be getting surgery eventually, which I'm in this boat right now, and that's why I added that. But again, you still want to add it in regardless. And then say, please make amendments to this policy, and should you have any questions, feel free to reach out, basically. And I put best my name and my email. And I blacked out my email for privacy purposes, but again, you want to yeet that in there. And again, if you're doing this in your health insurance portal or on their website, they may ask for it separately. So therefore, you wouldn't have to add it. But I did that because I'm doing mine via email. And that's it. I thank you guys so much for watching this video and cannot wait to see you guys again soon. Bye.